Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is testifying on Capitol Hill and just confirmed moments ago the Justice Department will not move forward with the so-called anti-weaponization fund. That declaration was met with skepticism from several congressional Democrats. Here was one of those exchanges.
The reasons for the fund is something that President Trump talked about for a long time, which is the fact that there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Not moving forward ever.
Correct.
Not ever. Here with me now, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Dupree. Tom, always great to have you here. Do you think this is the last word on the so-called anti-weaponization fund?
I think it is, at least in its current form. We just heard the Attorney General give what was a very definitive statement that this fund is done. He said the statement under oath. He said it publicly. I think it would be very difficult for them to do a 180 on this. It's possible down the road maybe they try to reconstitute a similar fund, but I think for all practical purposes, the current fund as they currently want to implement it is done.
This fund was part of a settlement that the Trump administration essentially executed in a lawsuit it brought against the government. Does that settlement in any way get altered by the disappearance of this so-called weaponization fund?
Well, in normal times, I would say yes. This was obviously a critical term in the settlement agreement. And again, in normal times, if you have a critical settlement term that gets blown up or withdrawn, the settlement as a whole changes. Maybe people reevaluate. Do they really want to settle? Does it undo the settlement? But these are not normal times. So you could see a universe in which the Justice Department and President Trump still move ahead with a settlement of sorts. Presumably, it would still contain the provision that drops the IRS investigations into President Trump, but the settlement agreement is shorn of this fund, which, in my judgment, was ill-advised from the get-go. So I'm thankful and glad that the Attorney General has finally put it to rest.
Is that settlement, the underlying one, about settling the lawsuit with the IRS because the president's tax returns were illegally leaked? That's a fact. He deserves relief from that. No, I don't think anyone disputes that. But there are lots of other Americans who deserve it as well. He's not the only one. But it has this stipulation. All existing audits for the president, his family, and associated companies disappear. Is that legally defensible?
Well, it's a tough one to defend in that it's obviously an extraordinary grant of relief to President Trump. And if you were the Justice Department, you would try to justify it by saying, look, we gave him this immunity from future IRS audits in exchange for him dropping his lawsuit against us for disclosing his tax returns. Now, is that a fair trade? Maybe not. And I think this is one of the issues that the federal judge in Florida, who is now going to kind of dust off the settlement and maybe take another look at it. She wants to hear from the parties. She's begun to sink her teeth into this. And so my guess here, Major, is that she is going to ask that exact question you just asked. Is this a fair and just resolution of this controversy?
So fresh and inquiring judicial eyes, this matter is not over. Tom Dupree.
It ain't over.
Thank you so very much.